We're so excited to introduce a special edition of the Veterans in Farming podcast, Conservation and Technology for Veteran Farmers in Indiana, brought to you in partnership with Addie's Orchard. In this fast-paced 15 to 20-minute discussion, our guests will dive into how conservation, technology, and tools available in Indiana can support our veteran farmer community. So we'd like to welcome Olivia and Aubree. Thanks for joining us today. Olivia, welcome to the show. Could you tell us a little bit about your organization?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Olivia Fry. I'm a farm bill wildlife biologist with Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever. Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever, is an organization. It's a non-for-profit, kind of known as a habitat organization. And we pretty much just implement conservation in Indiana.
Aubree, what about you?
My name is Aubree Pond. I'm the Precision Ag Education and Outreach Coordinator. Like Olivia said, we do a lot of habitat implementation. So my role kind of gears towards people who are looking to make decisions based on their data, their precision data that we can analyze and then hopefully turn some of those red acres into some habitat for wildlife.
Awesome. And Aubree, how did you get into this? What made you go into this field?
So I grew up in the conservation field. Three of my grandparents graduated from the College of Agriculture at Purdue. And my grandfather actually owns a consulting forestry company here in central Indiana. So I grew up running around log yards and
Nice.
learning about forest management. But my love for the environment and conservation itself, excuse me, grew as I found a love for hiking and backpacking throughout my childhood and into my adult life. So I ended up going to school for interdisciplinary agriculture, where I was able to build a degree kind of tailored to an interest in agriculture, conservation, and
Wow.
education.
Oh, that's really interesting. And what about you, Olivia? Did you grow up in Indiana as well?
I did. I grew up in Southwest Indiana, Vincennes, Indiana, to be specific. And so the area that I am stationed in right now is my community, is my hometown. So I definitely have a love of the outdoors and a love of my community. I grew up, here, and I'm able to help landowners meet their goals on their property, and that feels great. Areas that were once lawn grass or a fallow field turn into these beautiful areas for wildlife, but are functional to the landowner.
Awesome. And then Olivia, so how do you work with farmers on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So, on a day to day, my position will go to private lands for free and evaluate what the property currently has and what it would need to meet the habitat goals of the specific wildlife that the landowner is trying to encourage. A part of this includes writing a conservation plan, and those plans identify a customer's conservation objectives and assesses and analyzes the natural resource issues on that customer's land. So my position is also in partnership with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, so NRCS, where we provide wildlife expertise to the district conservationists and landowners that sign up for governmental programs. And we can just help bridge the gap between what the program is requiring and how to implement it for the landowner.
Oh, that's really interesting. And then Aubree, you do something with precision ag. Do you mind telling us a little bit about sort of what that means, what that looks like? And I mean, sometimes when I think about that, I think about the just medium to large size farm. Does that also apply to some of our smaller farms?
Yeah, that's a great question. So precision ag is kind of a buzzword right now. But at its core, it's basically just utilizing data to make informed decisions about your operation. So there's so much information that can be gathered about your crops and their performance, number of inputs applied to your operation, or even the soil condition prior to, say, planting. So precision ag just takes that data and gives farmers the ability to understand it and move forward with it in mind. Sorry. And then in terms of utilizing it on large scale operations, it is very usable on small scale diversified farms. It kind of depends on the operation. So I can go out to my small backyard garden where I have a couple of raised beds and do a soil sample to know kind of what kind of fertilizers I need to use for the upcoming gardening season. Same goes for our small farms. If you have a large scale operation, you can choose to invest in like a hydraulic system to improve your planting depth, and that is precision ag as well. So if you choose to perform soil samples, um, you can then perform a variable rate application of your fertilizer, which is also precision ag. So small scale operations are very much able to utilize various precision opportunities. It just kind of depends on their goals and what they're willing to put into it.
That's wonderful. Olivia, are there any programs that might help our veteran members? They don't have to be necessarily specific veteran programs, but anything that you think that would, help a majority of our veteran and farming members?
Yeah, there are programs available to landowners or farmers, whether you farm or not. And they run through the NRCS, but we do help design and write those plans. So, like I said, we have this partnership with NRCS where we come in as, wildlife experts and we help implement those. So, right now, there's not a specific program only for veterans. These programs are available for anyone, but if you are a beginning farmer, so you farmed less than 10 years, you get extra points to your ranking. And if you are a beginning farmer plus a veteran, less than 10 years discharge, you get an extra 5 points on your ranking, which essentially means the more points you have towards your ranking, the more likely you'll be funded for these programs because it is a ranking out process.
And what are some beginner-friendly conservation strategies that our veteran members might like to take advantage of with their small farms?
Yeah, there are many practices that can be implemented on small farms. I would have to say that it really depends on what the goal for your farm is or what the issues are present. So there are practices for gullies, erosion, getting into no-till, getting into cover crops, field borders, prairie strips, pest and nutrient management plans, high tunnels, grazing plans, or grass waterways or filter strips. And I could go on. There are so many. Um, and those are available with like EQIP, so the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, and that is through NRCS, where they will provide cost share up to 75% for these practices. I would call your local district conservationist with the NRCS and get a site visit scheduled if you're interested in either addressing resource concerns or looking to be more conservation friendly on your farm.
And then, Aubree, what's sort of a practical takeaway? What's one simple step that a veteran farmer could take today to start using, one of these conservation or data-driven decision-making tools that your group offers?
Really, I think a great first step would just be to start looking at their data. Most of our farmers today have equipment that's already gathering all this information, whether it be bushels per acre to crop moisture when harvested. Your combine is already gathering this information. So whether you're using John Deere operating systems, Ag Leader, Harvest International, they're already gathering that. And so the next step would be to start looking at it and then using it to start making decisions.
And Olivia, where would someone go to sort of start making these connections? You mentioned going to your local USDA office where they often have NRCS there as well, but how would they get in touch with someone like you in their area?
Yeah, so, to find a Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever biologist near you, you can go to our website, which is pheasantsforever.org. You go to the conservation tab, and under that tab, there will be an option that says find a biologist. Then you can put in your zip code, and the contact information of the nearest biologist will pop up.
Aubree, do you have any closing thoughts, any tips for our beginning farmers?
I think really just get started. don't be afraid to do something others might deem a little different. Conservation methods vary from farm to farm. Soil health is a big buzzword too right now, and for good reason. It's basically succession planning, but instead of planning for people, you're creating a more resilient soil for your operation. So where one farmer might be hesitant to plant into a growing cover crop, that might be a great tool for your operation. Or where one farmer might not soil sample because they apply their own fertilizers and don't have the equipment to utilize variable rate application, another might already be having a co-op come out and do the application. So the amount you save on conserving product could pay for that application. So don't be afraid to think outside the box and ask some questions and find what works for you.
Thank you so much. Well, I really appreciate both you, Aubree and Olivia, joining us today on the Vet Farm Network podcast. And you can find out more information about Vets in Farming at vetsinfarming.com. We have an event coming up in Shipshewana in July. We'd love to have you join us. You can also join us on Facebook as well. And membership is free for veterans. We'd love to have you join us, and that's an easy process at vetsinfarming.com. We have a blog and an e-newsletter, and we love to connect with other resources in Indiana. So thank you so much for joining us, and we really appreciate it.